Greetings, this is Mr. Irvine, and I'm going to be unboxing the Pi kit. So those of you who have checked one out for the summer have an idea of what all the parts are inside, and a little bit of an idea of what they could be used for. So when you first get started, you'll notice that the box has this little green sheet, and it details the various parts of what's in your box. So what I'm going to do is basically walk through each one of those one at a time in order, so you know who's who. Okay? Alright, here we go. Alright, so there's a bunch of stuff in here, and your box may or may not have started with these in the exact same order or not. So I'm going to pull all the parts out and then put them back in one piece at a time, according to the order that they are listed on the green sheet. Okay. So the very first thing on the green sheet says one Raspberry Pi computer. So initially that's going to come in your box like this, and when you open that up, the computer should be in a nice little static shield bag. And pull that out here. Then this is a Raspberry Pi. And we'll be talking about some of the components that we have inside, as well as how they're going to connect to the Pi. Okay? So there's the Pi. I'll leave that out for now, and then I'll introduce the other pieces. Next on the green sheet, it says there's a clear acrylic Pi box. That actually looks like these brown pieces for right now. And these all actually have some adhesive, so when you peel them off, you'll be left with a nice clear bunch of plastic pieces. And those then become a little box to keep your Pi in. So you might want to do that so that you have a nice little compartment for it. Notice there are a whole bunch of holes on here. Each of the holes actually does line up appropriately with part of the Pi. So as you're seeing these, that should be a guide to who goes where when you're assembling the box. Okay? Right, so then these are the top and the bottom pieces respectively. Okay, so in the box it goes. Alright, next on the list is a 3-foot long USB micro cable, and that is this guy. And the reason it's a micro cable is it might be a little hard to see through the plastic, but there are two connectors. One is the micro cable, which is on the bottom in the video, and the top one is a standard USB. Okay, so this is actually going to connect to the Pi and be its power supply. So I'll show you how that works. Here is that cable out of its packaging, and again there's the smaller one that's right here, and that actually connects to this part of the Pi. And when it's all connected in, then you'll be left with a regular USB, and that will plug into the next piece, which is this little power adapter. Okay, so you can see there's the USB, and then obviously it goes into the wall. Okay, so I'll put that guy in the box, and that's the 5-volt 1-amp power adapter that just went into the box, but that was packaged separately, so it plugs into a USB port. Okay, so there's that, and again you can see relative to the Pi where the power piece is. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to unplug that again. And since the Pi doesn't have an on-off button, it's actually going to, when you shut down your operating system and then disconnect the power, that's really how you turn it off. There's no on-off switch, but you can choose shut down from the operating system. Okay. Alright, next on the box is an SD card, a 4 gigger. And what I've done already for you is I've taken this USB, it's really a micro USB inside of a larger adapter. Okay, what I've already done for you though is I've put on one of the OS Linux distributions, which is really what the Raspberry Pi uses. So it doesn't run on Windows, it uses a version of Linux, and I've put this one called the Raspbian Wheezy on it. Okay, so that's your card, and what you would do is take that out, and again for the Pi, you can see on the bottom now, there is indeed a spot here, which looks like it wants to take a card. Okay, so I try to basically matching up the gold here with the gold here. Okay. So once I plug that in, that's basically the hard drive for the Pi. Okay. So I'll take that back out, put it into its little protective case, and put it into the box. Alright, next on the list is an Ada Fruit Pi Cobbler kit with GPIO cable. Okay, so Pi Cobbler kit is combined with, or made up of this cable and what they call this cobbler. Okay, and the advantage of this little cobbler piece is that it has identified the various ports on the Pi. So the idea here is this. Here's the Pi, and it has a whole bunch of general purpose GPIO input-output ports. Okay, and this is where some of the fun comes along with the Pi, where you can say, oh, I would like to have some code that makes something happen, and maybe even turns on a little LED. So you can connect this cable, and the part that has the pink or the red line should line up with the first pin. Okay, so when you're trying to connect these together, you want to look to see where pin 1 is, and on my Pi right here, I can see that this little guy here in the corner says P1. So that's where I want this cable to line up to when I'm connecting them. Okay. So that's how this would connect. That the piece here goes right on, and you'll be able to see it get nice and snug. Okay, so that little red guy again is lining up with port 1. Okay. Then the idea is you can connect these guys together so that you're left with some wires that you could then connect straight to these little pins here. Okay. Alright, so there you have the cobbler and the GPIO cable. Cable is the gray guy, and the cobbler is this guy. Okay. Alright, next on the list we have a half-size solderless breadboard, and the idea for the breadboard, it's this little guy here, is that we can connect things together. Lines or wires coming from the Pi then could connect to this, so I could have, say, another wire leading to an LED, and then the Pi could control those things. So that, we're not going to go to all the details of how to do that. That's a little bit of the fun of getting things set up. Okay, but this is the breadboard that you have. There are lots of good details online, and I've even posted some on the Moto Spot. Okay, next is breadboard wires. Now the wires that I have here are male, meaning that they have pins on both ends. Okay, so you might have to do a little bit of looking around to see if you need other kind of wires, but the idea here is you could plug something in straight to this breadboard with these wires and then connect it to something else. Okay. All right. Next we have LEDs, and each box has 3 little bags of LEDs. Okay, and those little guys already have some, you'll see these blue electronic pieces inside. Those are actually resistors, and the important part is the reason these are in the same bag together The LED by themselves, if you connected those to a Pi port, so one of those GPIOs we were just talking about, if you connect those together directly without a resistor, you'll fry the LED and it'll be done. So the resistor is there to go between the LED and the power that you would be giving it from the Pi. So again, look online, have some fun, but look online, and if you fry one, then definitely look online and see how they're doing it and what they're doing differently than you. Okay, all right, so you have 30 different LEDs and 3 different colors. Okay. And let's see, the resistors are in there, so that's pretty much a wrap on what you'll find inside your bag, in your box, and yeah, have fun.